Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Brew Gentlemen Brewing Company out of Braddock, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. This beer is their Ales for ALS beer, and they call theirs Lou. You can see it says Lou Ales for ALS 2019. This is a double IPA, 8%. So, I don't remember if I did a review of last year's Lou on this channel or not. I can't remember. But what this Ales for ALS is, if you're not familiar with it, it's for charity, for charity for ALS. Hence the name Ales for ALS. But what they do is they get they make and Brew Gentlemen's is called Lou because it's ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease, so that's why it's named Lou. But what they do is they make a proprietary hop blend each year, which is a different blend of a bunch of different hops. And they give that blend to a bunch of different breweries, and the breweries make a beer with it. Usually it's an IPA. And then they send some of the proceeds to the ALS Foundation. I believe that's how it works. But this year's... It's always a blend of several different hops. This year is Mosaic, Simcoe, Laurel, Sabro, and then 4 different HBC numbered hops that I'm not too familiar with because they don't really have an actual name yet. But I've heard this year's Lou was one of the best batches that they've done. I think this is I know it's at least the 4th one, but I think it's the 4th one. I'm not sure, but I think it's the 4th one. It might be the 5th one, but I think it's the 4th one. Because if they did the first one, then it probably would have been shortly after they opened it. I don't think they did it then. So I think this is the 4th one. But so I've had all of them though so far, and I've liked all of them. But they've just based on memory, of course, I couldn't have them side by side because they're IPAs and it's once a year, but. Just based on memory, they've all been significantly different, so I'm pretty excited. But I have heard from other people, just by memory, they said this might be their favorite one. So I'm pretty excited to give this one a go. It's funny. I was actually just saying to a friend yesterday how I was kind of getting burnt out on IPAs, especially hazy ones. But when I have a really good one, it kind of pulls me back in and. I knew that my friend was grabbing me some Brew Gentlemen stuff this week, and I knew I was going to get it today. So I kind of had this thought that, I'll know if I'm really, really getting burnt out on them if I drink these Brew Gentlemen ones and still feel the same way. Because to me, they're my favorite IPAs, period. And usually I felt this way other times before, and they kind of bring me back into the light and make me remember that, that I don't know that I'll ever completely get tired of IPAs as long as they're they're really, really well done ones. And usually Brew Gentlemen is at the top of that list, at least in my opinion. So as you can see, of course, a pretty hazy, bright, lighter orange color with a really nice fluffy, about a 1 finger's worth of white head. It just looks picturesque the way this pours. That smells nice. I'm definitely getting a little bit of pineapple, probably from the Simcoe and Mosaic, I'm guessing. There's a little bit of a coconut character, which is interesting. You don't necessarily get that out of hops all the time. A little bit of dankness, but it all smells super tied together. I'm pretty excited to see what this tastes like. Yeah. You know, I'm definitely not getting that burnout on IPAs, and this is sucking me back in. Uh, you know, the thing about Brew Gentlemen's IPAs, and I'll say this for almost all of them, it's not always the case with 100% of them because that's just not how it works with any brewery. But the reason they're so good is not just because they're like super, super juicy or super flavorful in one direction or the other. It's all about different layers of flavor and balance. I think the reason I get tired of some of these because they're either too saturated with hops where they have like that burny finish in the back, like that plant material character, or oniony and garlic, or they're kind of like just messy and malty and just there's weird things about it that just doesn't taste very clean. You know, and Brew Gentlemen's beers are not like that at all. It's all balance. Like there's a little bit of orange rind, a little bit of pineapple. I do get some of that that coconut again that I got in the aroma, which is just such a weird flavor to me. For an IPA, not to say that I've never gotten that in an IPA, but it just doesn't happen that often. I apologize for my dog going crazy, but it's just crazy how balanced their IPAs are. Like, other than it having like a substantial body, it is not boozy or syrupy at all. I would guess this was like 6.5%, to be honest. It does not come off as 8. It's so smooth. It's a little sweet through the mid palate, but then the flavor just drops off into this really nice, like orangey dry finish, and it just ends. Everything is just so tightly wound in this little ball of flavor. Like it's when you're getting the flavor, it's very pungent and very in your face and very tasty, but nothing ever juts out and stabs any piece of your mouth where you're like, oh, I don't like that flavor, it's too strong, or this really stands out. Like it all really just melds together. And that's even more, to me, that's even more interesting with like a blend of 8 different hops. Because usually, even IPAs in their blends, usually don't have that many different hops. I know some do, like Pliny the Elder has a bunch of different ones, but most of them don't. But really, I think it really says something to them because you have to have such a perfect malt bill. To make sure none of that gets in the way and to make sure it balances out all the different alpha acids from the hops and stuff. Now, this is honestly one of my favorite double IPAs I think I've ever had from them. It's not like the juiciest. Like I don't know that it's the best in just simply flavor, but balance. When you take into account balance, this is amazing. Now, on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I'm definitely going to say this is a buy, but the only problem is, as far as I know, this came from the last batch of this. Like, I think they made it a couple times throughout the last month or two. I think this is the last run of it, and after this, like, they're not making it again. When they make it again next year, it's going to be a completely different blend of hops, so it'll be a completely different beer. So, I would absolutely buy this again if I could, but I can't. But it's still on tap as far as I know right now. So if you see this video when I post it, I would strongly recommend getting this stuff. It is awesome. Honestly, this is the best one. This is one of the best double IPAs I've had in a long time. So I would definitely buy this again. Another great beer from Brew Gentlemen. I'm not surprised. They're always making great beers. But I think that's all I got on this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.